Hey guys, so if you follow me on social media outside of this app, you might have seen that I got into a little bit of a controversy over the last few days. It all started when I went on Kennedy, my favorite show on Fox Business, that I go on every week or two for, part of the panel news conversation as a regular guest, and a segment where we were discussing the monkeypox outbreak. And the government potentially declaring an emergency. And Kennedy, another one of the panelists, Ned Ryan, who I'd been on with in the past, when he was asked about it, immediately basically brought up gay orgies and how that's the only reason we have a problem right now. And a little bit of a debate and heated discussion broke out because as a gay person, I didn't really appreciate that approach to this issue. But now it's actually kind of blown up, and my video of the clip has over 1.3 million views on Twitter. This prompted a lot of backlash. I've been flooded for a few days now, but I want to hone in on one particular piece of backlash, which came from the Daily Wire's Michael Knowles, a conservative host, podcast host, whose claim to fame is being the author of A Blank Book. Michael Knowles made a video about me and about this segment that, frankly, I thought was wildly dishonest and deceptively edited and mischaracterized my position, so I wanted to respond to it. Buckle up, and let's see what Michael has to say.
Monkeypox has become the anti-COVID. It's become the way that the libs forced us all to live under COVID, which was very, very easily spread, and did not really pose major health risks to the vast majority of people, but it was still very, very easy to spread. It was so easy to spread that you pretty much couldn't stop it from spreading. There was no measure that the libs employed, from the masks to the lockdowns to the distance by 6 feet to the shots to the boosters. None of that has actually worked to stop COVID at all, not even in the slightest. And yet they made us shut down our lives for 2 years. Then monkeypox, which can be a little bit more dangerous, but is not very easily spread. There's pretty much only one way to spread it, and it's not very pleasant, at least in the minds of the vast majority of people. Monkeypox, which is only, I know this is politically incorrect to say, it's pretty much only spread at gay orgies. Not even at any orgy, though every orgy is, in a certain sense, gay, but specifically at male, homosexual, bathhouse-style orgies.
Homosexual.
That's where it started the spread, and that's where it continues to spread.
Hilarious to me. Just quickly here, this isn't true. So the reason that he's saying all this is because right now in the United States, the monkeypox outbreak began in the gay community and is still like 95+% among gay people. But monkeypox has spread throughout Africa and many places for a long time. It's not a new virus. It's actually not a sexually transmitted disease, although it can be transmitted sexually. But let's look at what the Mayo Clinic says about how monkeypox can be spread. The monkeypox virus causes monkeypox. It spreads through close contact with an infected animal or person, or it can spread when a person handles materials such as blankets that have been in contact with someone who has monkeypox. The monkeypox virus spreads from person to person through direct contact with rashes, scabs, or bodily fluids of a person with monkeypox, extended close contact, more than 4 hours, with respiratory droplets from an infected person, so that's just, like air to air, which includes sexual contact, clothes, sheets, blankets, or other materials that have been in contact with rashes or body fluids of an infected person. An infected pregnant person can spread monkeypox virus to a fetus. They mean a woman. That's woke speak. Anyway, I'm going to let Michael go on here on his little rant, but I just want to clarify it's not only spread through gay orgies or sex. It actually can be spread through sex of all kinds, through physical contact, through respiratory, just interaction. So it's not only limited to that, although that is, I believe, how the outbreak in the U.S. primarily was spread at the beginning.
Those we can't shut down. Now we can't even acknowledge it. Ned Ryan, who's a conservative
Here's where we get to my segment.
Activist, sort of prominent conservative figure, he just went on a Fox Business show, the Kennedy show, where it was him, two other panelists, and the host, Kennedy, and they were discussing monkeypox, and he suggested maybe people cool it with the gay orgies for just a little bit. All three other people on screen jumped down his throat for it.
As for monkeypox, I think there's a pretty good rule in life. Don't attend gay orgies. When you look at the New England Journal's report of the 528 cases they reviewed.
Ned, come on, man.
It's not about gay. How about not any orgies?
Go look at the New England Journal's report that NBC News reported on Friday, in which of the 528 cases they reviewed, 95% were between sex between men. I think we actually have to have a serious conversation about where this is coming from. When I'm done, Brad, you can talk. Instead of going crazy and declaring a national pandemic when 3,000 people have it right now, it's insane.
I don't know, man. You don't have to be gay to get monkeypox, and you don't have to be bigoted when you talk about treating something that is that easily spread, Marie.
It's not bigoted.
Yeah, it is.
This is science, Kennedy. 95% of the cases from the New England Journal
you know what? I'm going to let Brad respond, okay?
That kind of, I will use the term, bigoted language that makes it seem like the only people that get this are from one group of Americans. Hey, guess what? Gay men also have friends and family members and colleagues, and this is not just transmitted through sexual activity.
So hang on, let me just stop there for a second, guys. Did you notice how she queued to me for a response and then it skipped? Well, that's because Michael Knowles of the Daily Wire's producers, I don't know who did this, but they actually clipped that and removed my 45, 60-second response. And I actually went into detail about the nuances of this, and I gave what I thought was a pretty level-headed assessment about how we can talk about the reality that monkeypox is mostly affecting gay men right now without stigmatizing, without victim-blaming sick people, or without falsely conveying that this is some kind of gay disease. But apparently, I guess that wasn't easy enough to dunk on, my take, so they just clipped it out entirely. Here's what I said that they didn't want you to see when they deceptively edited this video over at the Michael Knowles show. Yeah, look, Ned is right when he says that monkeypox right now is mostly affecting gay men. The problem is that public health-wise, not going to orgies in general is a good policy to not get sexually transmitted diseases.
100%.
And so we have to be really careful. We saw with the AIDS crisis, with the HIV crisis, about how certain communities or certain gay people will be stigmatized over something that lots of people do. And we got to be careful about that. So keep that in mind, and let's go back to Michael.
So everything that Ned Ryan said is right. Virtually everyone who is catching monkeypox because they had sex with a promiscuous gay man. 95 to 98% of the spread is among dudes who have sex with other dudes. The men who have sex with men community, as some people are calling it. And then some people around them are catching monkeypox as well, which raises a whole lot of questions. You know, there were 2 kids who caught monkeypox in households with homosexual men. Haven't heard anything about that. Sure hope that's being investigated, but I doubt that it is.
This is pretty nasty, because he's just, there's this long stereotype of gay people all being secret pedophiles and child predators, and he's a winking and nodding to this. Monkeypox is not an STD. It can be spread through sexual contact, but let's go back to the Mayo Clinic, how it is spread. It can be spread from person to person through direct contact with rashes, scabs, or bodily fluids of a person with monkeypox, extended close contact with respiratory droplets, clothes, sheets, blankets, or other materials that have been in contact. I mean, this can spread within a household from a child to a son or to a daughter or whatever without there being child abuse. So leaping to that is really kind of gross and unwarranted. You shouldn't accuse somebody of something like that willy-nilly. It's horrible. I mean, don't just throw that out there. This can and does spread in non-sexual ways, in addition to being spread through sex, because it just spreads through physical contact or through sharing, like you said, blankets. So I wish we could have this conversation and be reasonable without those kind of cheap shots, but hey. All right, let's see what else Michael's got.
What Ned Ryan said is right. And by the way, if you want to prevent people from catching monkeypox, if you care about the homosexuals who are at risk of getting monkeypox, which is specifically homosexuals who are getting frisky with lots and lots of other homosexuals in promiscuous sex and orgies, you would want this information to be out there. You'd want people to know the risks, right? So he just reads a news report from a left-wing source from a medical journal. And the 3 people on screen say that's bigoted.
All right, let's stop here for a second, because the last thing he said is a lie. I never said that Ned Ryan was a bigot or that what he said was bigoted, because I don't really think that's productive. I addressed the substance of what he said, and that's the part Michael clipped out. The thing is, too, what I objected to about what Ned said was not him mentioning the objective fact that it's mostly among gay people in the U.S. right now, because I've also mentioned that. I've tweeted about it. I've made it very clear. There's nothing taboo about mentioning that scientific fact. What I didn't appreciate was that when Ned was asked about the state of the monkeypox pandemic and government policy, the first thing he leapt to was gay orgies, condemning them, and basically victim blaming and suggesting that somebody who goes to a gay orgy and gets monkeypox, it's really their own fault, so why do any of us care? As I said on the show, I don't really advocate for anyone going to orgies. It's not hygienic, and I don't think it's good for your spirit or your soul as a person, most likely. But you don't deserve to get a very serious illness, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody. I also thought that the way Ned spoke about it radiated animus and contempt for gay people. I really did. I didn't think he was just dryly reciting the facts about monkeypox. So the entire argument that I've gotten, this backlash of he was just stating facts, you're triggered, it kind of misses the point. The point is that he wasn't just stating the facts, he was leaping to victim blame, and he was doing it in a way that really radiated, I think, disgust or animus toward gay people who are suffering from a serious disease right now. It's pretty telling that their argument is empty, oh, he was just saying the facts, because I also acknowledged the facts in my commentary on Fox, but they clipped that out because it was inconvenient for their entire narrative that wasn't our real objection. I guess we should keep saying what he has to say because this video goes for a while longer.
Those are hate facts. Those are, first you heard from Brad Polumbo, who is an LGBT activist, and I guess he's a libertarian. He would call himself a libertarian.
This man, he called me a LGBT activist. Literally, the LGBT activism community has condemned me. I was kicked off a soccer team for being transphobic. The LGBT media has written so many pieces criticizing me. I mean, most LGBT activists would reject me because I am libertarian on the conservative side politically and outspoken, and I really actually have questioned a lot of the LGBT activist groups and kind of woke dogma. And yet, I think the reason that someone like Michael labels somebody like me a LGBT activist is simply just that I stand up for the basic dignity and rights of gay people. And even, I think some of the debates are complicated, but also the basic dignity of transgender people. And that's something that he doesn't do and doesn't care for. So apparently that makes me some woke activist. I have this experience where leftists and woke progressives always say like I'm some far-right fascist gay or something. And then hardcore rad trad social cons call me some like cuck woke lib or something. And it's like, actually, I think I'm just a moderate, sensible, normal person on social issues.
But he's very, very pro LGBT. And he says, oh, Ned, you can't say that. It's any orgies. Don't say gay orgies. But no, it is gay orgies. That spreads
for right now.
That's just a fact. Okay, it's just numbers. 95 to 98%, guys.
Okay. Not in other countries. There's no reason it has to stay that way.
No, you can't say that. And then Polumbo was far from the worst person on that panel. Then it was the host, Kennedy, and the other guest, whose name I believe is Marie Harf, who called it bigoted. Don't go to gay orgies is now considered a bigoted statement.
Not exactly. I think what they think is bigoted is the way he was like radiating contempt and the way he was leaping to blame these people. Like this isn't a public health problem. It's just they brought this on themselves. And that's just really an unfortunate framing. I don't know if it's even what Ned intended. It may well not have been. But they think that's what they thought was bigoted. And also, we have to keep in mind the history here of the AIDS and HIV crisis, where gay men, there was so much stigma. The most embarrassing part for people about admitting publicly they had AIDS was that people would think they were gay, right? And thousands of Americans died because testing and treatment and all these things were so people were so stigmatized and afraid of being known to have this disease. It just was a disaster in public health. It was an absolute tragedy. I can't even watch a book or a documentary about it and finish it sometimes because it's so heartbreaking. But stigma is really not like throwing shade at people in public health is just not the best way to encourage them. You can acknowledge the facts and talk about the realities in ways that don't come off as so contemptuous and judgmental. And I think that's why they said that Ned was being bigoted. I don't like to use that language because I think it's just defensive or whatever, so I didn't, but I think that's why they said that.
On the right-wing news channel, on one of, what, 2 or 3 right-wing news channels. Fox Business is probably the second most prominent right-wing news channel, allegedly right-wing news channel. And you can't say don't go to gay orgies there? Are you knuckle-dragging far-right, fascist, bigoted troglodyte? How dare you? Gay orgies is what America was built on. That's how dare you discriminate against the gay orgy community.
So I just think this is funny. He's using one show, the most libertarian show with the most libertarian host on one of the Fox channels to say like, oh, Fox News is woke now. It's not the case. Trust me. I wish all the hosts were like Kennedy, but not all of them are. In fact, she's kind of one of the only ones who I align with. So reading too much into one segment on one show to draw broad, sweeping conclusions about entire media networks, it's not very reasonable.
These are the sorts of things that can't be uttered now. It shows you the way that the Overton window has shifted. When libs tell you, oh no, the conservatives are on the rise, the conservatives have made so many cultural gains in recent years, just look at that Overton window. Look at the range of acceptable discourse. You can no longer go on an ostensibly right-wing news network and say, hey, don't go to gay orgies, maybe, if you don't want to catch the gay orgy pox virus.
He's literally on the Daily Wire, a right-wing news network, saying exactly that. And I'm sure it's been said on Fox across many shows. In fact, Ned was able to say it. We just added context and disagreed with him and had a back and forth. No one stopped him from saying it. And then, again, calling it the gay orgy pox virus. Dude, have a little compassion for sick people, firstly. And then secondly, it doesn't just affect gay people. It's not even an STD. Speak to one doctor, one expert, actually learn how this virus works before you go around just running your mouth like this. I'm embarrassed for you. So in the rest of the video, Michael goes on to a couple different other topics. He briefly comes back to this, but you've basically got the gist of his video and everything he said. For all the reasons I've discussed, I just think it's very telling that he deceptively edited my remarks, and I think that our actual objection to what was said is going completely over these people's heads, or they're just being dishonest. Regardless, this has brought a lot of attention to my work and my content, this whole controversy. So if you are new here, you're going to get with me as somebody who's very fiscally conservative, believes in free markets, limited government, but I would say I'm kind of middle of the road, maybe center right on social issues, and I reject the woke stuff, but I also don't go along with these new rad trads and their constant grievances and culture war. So if that's something you'd be interested in, subscribe to this channel, like this video, comment, check out my podcast with Hannah Cox, Based Politics, and we'll see you all in the next video. Hopefully I don't have to go viral and trigger the author of a blank book in order to make it.